Hey all, Mr. Rip here. Just want to do a quick review on Gilgamesh. Overall, I think he's a solid S plus tier hero. I'm not a fan of the arms by any means, but the rest of them looks pretty cool. Like the graphics, fiery hair, and all that looks pretty cool. He does die a bit easy, so I do use blasphemy crowns on him to make sure that he can survive, because he gets. I think the reason why is because he starts off a little weak, but as the battle progresses, he starts gaining a ton of ACC, and he can get up to 1,000 ACC. So I think they're kind of trying to balance that a little bit. So that's probably why they make him a little bit weak to start off. But overall, he's pretty decent, and definitely worth getting. So you can use him as Apex, complement, or towers, or campaign, and use him on a bunch of different teams, which I'll talk about here in a bit. But let's one of the cool things I really like about this guy is his SG, and his SG is super cool because he has the ability to resurrect up to 3 times. You can see it there. He puts there's celestial fields, celestial forges appear on the battlefield when allies or enemies die. That doesn't include summons, but they basically cause 190% attack AoE damage, but he can resurrect from those up to 3 times, and then Gilgamesh gains 300 points of energy and 2 seconds of invincibility after he resurrects. So if he can do that 3 times, that's at least 6 seconds of invincibility and 900 points of energy. So that's super cool. And then at level 3 or level 30. Newly created Celestial Forge obtains 2 seconds of damage immunity and deals 110% of the Celestial Forge attack and defense, ignoring damage to nearby enemies each second. So that's pretty cool. And let's see. And I usually use Teek's Revenge on him because I want him to attack very, very quickly. And I also want him to get critical boost for his damage. So that tends to be what I like to use. And with that, let's take a look at his skills. So his ultimate. So one thing I really like is he's able to free himself from control effects. And then he summons that Celestial Forge. And then it does 4 segments of 110, 220, 330, and 440% attack damage. And that last damage segment includes a silence effect for 2 seconds. So that's really neat. Not only is he beating the crap out of the other team, but he's putting tape on their mouth so they can't talk either. Or, they can't talk, can't attack, essentially. But after that first Celestial Forge impact, the Celestial Forge is born in place, inheriting 80% of Gilgamesh's attributes. It can't move or attack, but takes 200% damage. And so at level 2, when he releases his ultimate skill, Celestial Forge adds an additional defense-ignoring damage to enemies with the bayonet mark. Equal to 8% of their max HP. So that's super cool. No more than 750% of damage of Gilgamesh's attack, though. And then it adds 100 points of energy destruction to the enemy, which is super cool if they have that spear mark. And then also increases 40 points of AGI for allies with the horn mark, and that lasts for 6 seconds. And then when Gilgamesh casts his ultimate skill, if there's a bayonet mark or spear mark or horn mark, basically, that'll be extended by 2 seconds. So that's super cool. Now let's take a look at Eternal Link. So he basically links all the enemies together, and then they pool their energy equally. And then it deals damage every second equivalent to their energy value multiplied by 0.3% of their attack. Up to 300% attack of Gilgamesh's attack. And that link lasts for 4 seconds and imposes a spear mark for 8 seconds. And then enemies with a spear mark have their AGI reduced by 30 points. And also remember, when he casts that ultimate skill, that 8 seconds gets extended to 10 seconds, right? And then that 4 seconds gets extended to 6 seconds, right? And so remember that as we go. Linked enemies suffer 40% decrease in defense. That's pretty nice. And then when linked enemy is defeated, the remaining linked enemies take 150% attack damage. Pretty cool. The next one's Celestial Nectar. Gilgamesh's bayonet disrupts spatial order, and basically what he does is he swaps the HP of the ally with the lowest HP for the enemy with the highest HP. and it cannot exceed 150% of Gilgamesh's attack, and that deals 450% attack damage to the enemy with the highest HP, and applying a bayonet mark for 8 seconds. And then enemies with that bayonet mark have their healing effects reduced by 80%. And then if you look at level 2, he grants the ally with the lowest HP a shield to 100% of his own HP, and that lasts for 8 seconds. And then Gilgamesh swaps the the energy of the allied hero with the lowest energy to the enemy with the highest energy. So not only does he swap the HP for low and high, but he swaps the energy for low and high. And then he deals 450% attack damage to the enemy with the highest energy and applies that bayonet mark. And then lastly, the war horn. So he sounds the war horn, and then he poses that horn mark on allies for 8 seconds, and that gives them an increase in crit rate by 25% and critical damage by 50%. And then when they have that horn mark, if they receive fatal damage and they have at least 100 points of energy, they can negate that damage, and they can do that 3 times. But I think what it says here is if you don't have 150 points of energy at least, then it's not going to trigger. But level 3, heroes with a horn mark recover 150 points of energy after they use their ultimate skill. So pretty cool overall. Let's check out his talents. I think these are super cool as well. So Gilgamesh gets stronger as the battle continues. For every 10 points of ACC he gains, his damage increases by 0.5%. And the damage increase is capped at 100%. So remember, every 10 points, his damage goes up, right? And then every time he applies one mark, his ACC permanently increases by 20 points. And the increase in ACC is capped at 1,000 points. So if your battle's, 2 minutes long, maybe he puts 10 marks on there, right? So maybe he gets up to the cap of 1,000 points, which is crazy. So that's why he kind of probably starts out a little weaker, because once he starts getting into the longer battles, then he starts getting pretty strong. But let's see, T2. So applying marks to the enemies also adds cumulative damage of 15%, not exceeding 300% of Gilgamesh's attack. When applying marks to ally, it also recovers 150 points of energy for that ally. So wow, man, overall, I think this guy is just pretty stellar. S+ tier for sure. And, let's just kind of round out what we think about this guy. So he counters control effects, right? He gives allies AGI. He takes AGI from enemies. He swaps energy and HP for the highest enemy for our lowest ally, right? Super cool there. He does defense ignoring damage. He resurrects 3 times, destroys enemy energy, increase the duration of other skills when he casts his ultimate. Just gets stronger as the battle goes on. So, just overall super cool. And again, I use Blasphemy Crowns on this guy for survivability, and I use Teek's Rage. But let me go into show you a few teams that I created for him that maybe you can use. So for this first combo, Gilgamesh combo, I put him in the back row. So typically you're going to put him in the back row. He needs protection. But if you have Yuna, if he survives till Yuna casts the ultimate, he will be invulnerable, right? Which is awesome. Because every time Yuna has his T2 and he casts his ultimate, then anyone in the front row with him basically becomes invulnerable. And that's why you see Mel and Yuna combo all the time, right? Because he's basically protecting Mel. So you could put Isha in the front because she super buffs all the team and she does some nice damage, so she can be protected there. Plus, she also puts a shield on the front row. She protects them, so you're kind of like she's kind of protecting herself until Yuna gets, that invulnerability ultimate cast, and then she takes pretty decent damage before she dies. On the other side, Gilgamesh is a little bit weak, so you put him in the back row. You put him in with Ra. Ra protects all of his back, all his, we call them, what are they, not acolytes. I think maybe it was acolytes they used the term. But basically all of his allies in the back, he gives them a shield off the bat, so that helps protect Gilgamesh, keep him alive. And then Mythia also has her abilities where she makes, one of the allies untargetable. So that's pretty awesome. And then the second combo that I have here is I put him in the front so he's protected. Obviously, Mythia goes with every team because she's amazing. And then Ra protects everybody, and then Ish is in the back. Here's one that I'm kind of playing with where Arzal, he can be a little bit weak, but he does a lot of defense ignoring damage in AE, so that's really cool. So I put him in the front to be protected, and then basically those two tank and warrior are protecting everybody in the back. And then also I paired him up with Bridget because Bridget will protect him with her lunar capabilities. So I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, and then if you want an eternal team, I think this was probably pretty good. Obviously, I kind of snuck Isha in there because she's pretty BA. But I have Bridget, and then what the heck's his name? Arvant, or basically the damn, what is his name? Let me check real quick. Sorry, I totally forgot his name. Erevis, that's what it is. So Erevis, and then Gilgamesh and Phalanx and Isha. I think that's a pretty cool team. I was setting this team up for one of my guild mates in Division 7, and he just totally hammered Oh No Bro. It was pretty awesome. Good job, Soul Reaver. But anyway, so those are some of the teams. And, we kind of looked at Gilgamesh. And, overall, not a fan of the arms. Cool art. He has a lot of awesome abilities. Solid S+ tier. I would say he's probably going to become a staple in Ever Legion, so people are going to be wanting to get this guy for sure. So anyway, those are just my 2 cents and, my thoughts and recommendations. If you guys have other teams that you think are going to be awesome with this guy, post them in the comments and provide some feedback. Anyway, have fun out there playing the game, and good luck.